Hey guys, this is Bruce Marshall from Simpler Trading with the nightly video update for Wednesday, March the 24th. And if you were watching the market today, started out pretty calm, not really too much happening. I've got the ES up on the screen here, so we'll take a look at that. This is the overnight action in the light gray. This is the ES. Not the SPX, but I have voodoo lines up here. We have a snow line right here, and we have a sky line right here. And as you can see, we came down into the close yesterday, a pretty good free fall into the closes again, the ES. Hit skyline, kind of retested it quite a few times overnight, and then all of a sudden we take out, and these are micro lines here, and we chop between these micro lines just all night long. Again, come up here, get close to the snow line and fail, but this is, nothing too crazy going on here. And we continue to chop here, and then we just broke and fell and took this out and really kind of fell into the end of the day. And if we look at the NASDAQ here, it's even worse. The ES ended up only being down about 17 points, something like that. So it's not too bad. The NASDAQ's down 207, I believe. So a much bigger fall in the NASDAQ. And if we look across the board, I think a lot of that was Apple. Of course, Apple, Amazon, Google, etc. All off today. And so now we look at this and go, well, what happens next? And let's switch gears here, and we will look at the S&P right here. So again, if we go out here, I like to go into, look at our time frames here. And if we look at the range we've been trading in the S&P, here is our skyline up here. That's the all-time high, 3983. We almost got to 4,000. That was last Thursday, 1 week from tomorrow, or 1 week from tomorrow. Here's our snow line. We hit that a couple times. We've been all over that. And here's the skyline down here. So, kind of big picture range bound kind of movement here. I thought, if you listen to the video I did last week, and I still think the same thing, nothing's really changed, that we'll come up here and tag this. The higher we go, the more susceptible we are to a bigger pullback. But if you look at this, I mean, we are, this is pretty good trend here, and there's nothing really scary about this. This little bitty pullback here is nothing really to worry about. Now, if we, again, if we come in here and look, and we talked about this last week, we're going to pull back, all the way to here, or what? And of course, nobody knows. Let's see. Let me zoom in a little bit here. I've got a couple of orders working out here, but let me see if I can get this in a little bit closer. Okay. Right here, we are all over this skyline. We've been all over it. We're under it now. That's actually not good, for support standpoint. We could pull back here into the lower skyline here, or we could bounce and keep going. And again, this is kind of the same thing we've been looking at for the last several weeks. Is this trend line broken by this? And I don't think it is. Let's switch this over to I'll do the grab candles here, and this is a 34 EMA, and as you can see, we have just come back down into a 34 EMA right here, which, we do that. We've done that quite a few times here, and and it's okay. Sometimes we did poke through it right there, so maybe we do come down here. I kind of don't think so, but to follow along what I was talking about last week, is that, remember, we have earnings coming up. Earnings for all the big tech is going to start in the next couple of weeks. And, here's the S&P. If you look at this again on a longer time frame, we could come down into these levels. But again, I was saying we have earnings coming up. With earnings coming up, I think we, kind of can come back up and retest some of these upper levels. Now, here's 4,000. This is SPX. And down here we've got a lot of meaningful support under us. So I still continue the same thing, thinking that, this is the trend. If we break this and these levels don't hold and we start taking them out, yeah, then the trend is going to turn and it's going to be a different, it'll be a different thing. But right now, we're not there yet. And, if I switch this to, let's do a 21, and if we do a 21 period moving average right here, you see this? We're just coming into the 21. Very normal. Very, very normal. There's nothing scary about that, right? If we look, let me show you this real quick. Very, very normal that we come down into, the 821 and test them and then, kind of resume. So all that being said, and let me show you the NASDAQ real quick. Here, kind of the same thing. Now this is a little bit different, but these levels, let me show you here. These are 34 EMAs. Again, this is nothing crazy. We bounced off this sell-off and have come back. We might come down lower, kind of test some of these levels before resuming an uptrend in the NASDAQ as we go into the earnings season, and that's kind of what I think will happen. I just don't know, how far that will go. The SPX honestly looks fine to me. The NASDAQ looks a little dicey, but we shall see, how it goes in the next several days, and and see if this thing is going to break, go lower, or if we're going to kind of resume the upward trend here. So all that being said, I'm very light on trades. I continue to be light on trades. I've got a handful of trades on, just kind of watching, waiting, sitting on my hands, waiting. But at these lower levels, I'm more of a buyer than a seller. I don't want to short this thing just yet. I'm just not there yet until things really turn and get worse. And then I'm going to keep in mind that earnings are coming up, and we'll probably rally into that. So be careful out there. Don't get too aggressive on trying to short this thing. Don't think we're there yet. Be very careful with it, but tight stops and all that. But again, I'm looking more bigger picture to buy the dip than I am trying to load up on getting short here. So that is what I got for you. I hope that makes sense. And keep a lot of cash. Keep your positions tight with stops, and your risk manageable. And that's what I got until things clear up and we get a better picture of what's going on. So thanks for the time. Hope it helps, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency. It's one of the things that won me